YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and tonight I had the privilege of playing this awesome guy, Iron610, who recognized my name. I've been rolling under the name Titanius Anglesmith, which is that's a throw to what Bender's game or whatever they called it. It was a Futurama like kind of movie slash episode. It's hilarious. If you enjoy Warhammer, which is like the fantasy world, you'd probably enjoy that. You should definitely go watch it. I think it's called Bender's Game. It's on Netflix. Pretty freaking hilarious. Anyway, that was what Bender called himself, the Titanius Anglesmith, fancy man of Cornwood or something like that. I couldn't help but think of it whenever I'm playing Warhammer because it's kind of like that. So wanted to show you this battle. It's going to be Vampire Counts versus the Empire. And I was kind of curious to see what the Empire would feel because they've got quite a few new units, and so do the Vampires, and you're going to see some of those here. We've got 2 Demigryphs with Halberds, 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun, and they are going to be pretty good against infantry, and they have flaming damage, which can be good against regenerative units, which the vampires rely on pretty heavily. So I've got 1 Blood Knight back here. These guys, again, just probably one of my favorite units in the game. Knights of the Blazing Sun, though, definitely get best looking. I've got a Corpse Cart to support my units. The Vigor Mortis that this thing has gives an extra attack and defense boost. I didn't go full out with the Mortis engine, just because of the cost. I've got 3 Crypt Horrors backing up 4 Skeleton Warriors, so I've got, typical vampire, kind of a throwaway line. The Crypt Horrors are going to do the real damage. I've got 2 White Kings to help support. I need something that's more reliable than Skeletons, so that's why I picked the White Kings. I got 2 of them, and of course they do have healing potions. I've got 4 bats roaming around the battlefield as well, because I was expecting maybe artillery or skirmishers, so I've positioned bats all over the place. So that I can get at enemy skirmishers if needed. I've got 1 more unit. Here's the Empire army out here. Let's cover it real quick. He's got a main line of spears, which makes sense against the vampires because they're going to have throwaway units, and you don't want to throw really expensive units right into the vampire damage train. I like the pick of the Demigryphs with Halberds. They can do pretty well against cavalry. They can do quite well against Crypt Horrors. And then this pick here, potentially going to be devastating against Crypt Horrors too, because the flaming damage, I believe, on the Knights of the Blazing Sun will do extra damage, again, versus anything that's regenerative. I have 1 last unit out here, and it's this Dire Wolves that have the bonus versus large. It's one of the Regiments of Renown. They kind of look more like Dire Lions to me, the nice little mane and everything. So yeah, anyway, that's all my units. So I'm relying on my leader, who is the Strigoi Ghoul King. I figured it'd be really fun to bring this guy. Look, he is just horrific. I mean, this is the stuff of nightmares right here, this guy. The only thing could be worse is if he took the loincloth off. But in any case, yeah, you can see my Corpse Cart here looking pretty cool. Again, it's just a support unit. The Empire player has gone with no skirmishers because he's poured all of his money into cavalry. He's got 2 Flagellants, and then he's got Sigmar's Sons here, which is an unbreakable sword unit. And that's where his Empire captain resides as well. He wanted to stay on the ground against the vampires, and I guess I kind of understand that because the vampires can field some nasty air regiments too, but I feel like the Empire is probably better in the air. But he's and he doesn't have a battle wizard either. He's relied upon a witch hunter instead, which this is interesting. This is kind of like old school anti-vampire tactics here with the witch hunter. I don't find the Witch Hunter to be particularly strong now, especially since the vampires have all this extra regeneration stuff around. So the Corpse Cart helps drive regeneration. The Ghoul King drives extra regeneration. There is a ton of regeneration going on in my units when they're around these support units. I'm going to take my main line, and since I have healing potions, I'm going to lead the charge with my Black Knights. And I'm going to charge in just to disrupt the enemy formation a little so that my skeletons don't get completely destroyed. So Black Knights are going to come straight into the Spearmen, and then here comes my Skeleton Warriors, going to be coming in behind. There's more Empire infantry than I have infantry, but I need the Skeletons to tank damage so the Crypt Horrors don't just die to the Spearmen. And then on the flank, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on his Demigryph Knights, and I'm going to try and disrupt their charge with bats so that I can help my Blood Knights win. My Strigoi Ghoul King was a little bit lagging. I'm going to bring him up. You can see the Crypt Horrors enter combat. They're going to start dishing some pretty serious damage. And the Ghoul King, I'm bringing him up so he can support this fight, and I'm bringing up the Corpse Cart to get it close enough to support the units that I have in here as well. So some Knights of the Blazing Sun moving up over here along with some Demigryph Knights. So I swamp the Demigryph Knights with bats real quick, and I bring an extra unit of bats back to try and stop his Blazing Suns. And I'm disrupting, again, his cavalry over here. See, I'm luring them away with the bats. And then the Strigoi Ghoul King is raising up a unit of Crypt Horrors right behind the Empire army. It can only be done once, and it takes a lot of mana, but I figured it was worth it, so I've got Cryptors right behind the enemy line who are about to charge. He gets a beautiful charge in here with the Knights of the Blazing Sun behind my lines. He's going to cause a lot of damage. And fortunately for me, Strigoi Ghoul King looks like he can hold his own. The extra Cryptors come into combat, and I'm just going to start crushing the Empire's left flank, and then my Blood Knights are going to swing in. Now that the Knights of the Blazing Sun have spent their charge, my Blood Knights will roll in and absolutely clobber these guys. You can see my Ghoul King just heals so fast with all the different stuff around. I'm using Invocation into Heck as well to resurrect on my units. And I believe that the Corpse Cart also helps absorb magic. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and look at it. Over here, my Dire Pack is holding down a Demigryph and actually did pretty good for their cost. They've helped get rid of about half the hit points on that Demigryph, and really pretty happy with their performance there, to be quite honest. So the Ghoul King stands his own. The Blood Knights are in good shape because they're regenerating around all this stuff, and the mainline fight is just going to be a drag out. The White King and the Cryptors are tanking tons of damage. The Flagellants are dealing a lot of damage. The Spearmen have a bonus versus large. Those Demigryphs just about swung here into my guys, but I was able to actually kind of momentarily hit them a little bit. They're going to chase after the Ghoul King, but they didn't get a very good charge, so the Ghoul King's going to be able to turn around, and he's going to do a lot of damage here. And then my Blood Knights, I swung them over here into this fight, but they're up against a Demigryph and a Knights of the Blazing Sun, so they are outmatched here. But they're going to do a lot of damage. I need to try and keep them alive. So you can see, again, the mainline fight is going okay, but my opponent is landing some nasty rear charges here with these Knights of the Blazing Sun. And they're going to get plenty of kills, and they're going to cause extra damage to my Cryptors. Out over here, I've used the Invocation into Heck to kind of hold my Blood Knights together longer because I really need them to hold this flank. Because I'm in kind of a desperate fight back here to get rid of these Demigryph Knights. And then really my White Kings are the only thing that are kind of holding together strong. I've got the White King there, the Bats, and the extra Cryptors have come in extremely handy. They've gotten 61 kills and helped wrap up a lot of Empire infantry because I was outnumbered pretty significantly. I've used a curse over here too. I used Soul Blight. My regeneration is going very quickly, but it's eaten up my magic reserves too. We managed to rout out the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and the Strigoi Ghoul King holding his own here versus the Demigryph Knights. They just can't get enough damage done to him quickly enough. And then, like I said, keeping the Corpse Cart fairly close here so that its supporting radius is helping my men. And my Blood Knights are just barely holding together. But I noticed that my Ghoul King had enough mana to cast one more Invocation into Heck. I believe. Yeah, it should be popping up here at any moment. My Ghoul King is in combat over here. I've used Arcane Conduit. Here comes the Invocation into Heck just in time to keep my guy alive. And then I swing in a Bat to also kind of help tank some hit points from the Knights of the Blazing Sun. The Demigryph pulls itself loose. You can see it's a pretty tight fight here in the center. My Skeletons, most of them have gone, but my Cryptors are also taking a lot of damage. The Ghoul King has done a fantastic job in this battle, really. My Corpse Cart's taking a little bit of a beating here, but it's alive. But yeah, the Ghoul King's done great. I mean, he's still very much alive. And I'm going to come over here with the White King and the Ghoul King, and I'm going to team up on the Empire General. So he's in big trouble now, faced with the Ghoul King and the White King, and he is knocked out of the fight. And then my Blood Knights are freed here too, and I'm able to stop his Demigryph Knight. Well, no, they're here. My Blood Knights came out because I was able to throw a White King over here instead. I figured he had a healing potion, so this would be a better fight for him. And then my Cryptors have broken through over here. They can go chase down routing units. So honestly, I'm kind of focused here in the center. Look at this unit here, the 57 kills on Sigmar's Sons. Unbreakable. See here the Demigryph Knights getting run down by my Blood Knights. The Blood Knights here picked up 2 chevrons. Even though they only have 58 kills, they've been a pretty key unit for me. The Corpse Cart took a beating but managed to survive, and that's buffing my units here with extra melee attack. Pretty big help, actually. The only unit that's left here is Sigmar's Sons. Look at these guys fighting valiantly in the face of just overwhelming odds, getting hammered around by the Cryptor. The Ghoul King is none too pleasant to be within his presence too. And I was going to swing the Blood Knights out to knock out some regrouped units, but I was like, yeah, let's just take out this. Sigmar's Sons was the only unit that was left because it was unbreakable. And they're going to take a charge from the Blood Knights amidst all the Cryptors on top of that. So, I don't know, what do you all think, man? I actually thought this battle was a lot of fun. It was definitely a pound fest there. I think that since he had so much cavalry, if my opponent maybe, I'm trying to think what he could have given up. Like, I think if he would have given up the Witch Hunter and gone with a few ranged units, I may not have done real well here, because his ranged units could have really picked away at the Cryptors, and if I lost the Cryptors, I definitely would have lost there. Now, of course, me popping in that extra unit of Cryptors behind the lines would have allowed me to chase them, of course. He also just wasn't able to get his cavalry to do enough damage to swing that fight. But he definitely had good cavalry, and it definitely did some damage. It just wasn't quite enough. It was a Pyrrhic victory for me, so I mean, it was a pretty tight fight. Definitely some of the saving grace for me, these White Kings, the healing potions came in very handy because they had to tank a ton of damage, and that's generally the strategy that someone's going to take with the vampires, tank a ton of damage. And so you can see the Invocation and the Heck was the only reason my Blood Knights survived. And then, of course, I used the Invocation and the Heck on an Overcast once right in the middle of my line for the same reason, just to keep my guys ticking a little longer. So that's actually one of the interesting gameplay with the vampires that I kind of enjoy, and it becomes the challenge for the other players, like how do you overcome all that regeneration. And the key is, obviously just kind of knowing how to take that on. And I think skirmish units actually do a ton of damage to the vampires, as long as you can keep them safe. And that's exactly why I brought a lot of these bats. But bats also, again, serve a nice purpose of disrupting charges. They've been slowed down a little bit, but they're still helpful. Anyway, what do you all think about my army, about my opponent's army? Anything you would have done different there? Really appreciate Iron610. Appreciate him watching the videos. Hope he enjoyed getting to see himself on here. Had a lot of fun playing the game with him. Hopefully I'll get to meet plenty of you online too. I will be hosting games every now and then. Like I'd like to do some team battles and stuff like that. If you come into the multiplayer battle, I'm not saying someone can't impersonate me, because they very well could. But if I host a battle, I'm going to put air in the name of it so you can see it. So yeah, if you see a battle like that and you want to join, you should be able to tell if it's me. Again, someone could go impersonate me. But yeah, if you want to join up, feel free. I'll be trying to host those, and hope you all enjoyed this one. If you liked it, please subscribe. I'll bring you more. Appreciate MSI for having sponsored the build that I'm recording this on, and the help that they gave me. And appreciate all of you, the awesome viewers who make this fun every day. I will see you soon.